Hello, and thank you for watching this regional forecast for the Northeast. I'm Andrew Pritchard, Senior Meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. As we look at the satellite and lightning combo here early on this Tuesday morning, we've got several clusters of thunderstorms ongoing. One across the northern plains associated with an upper-level trough across this region. We've also got a stalled-out frontal boundary across parts of the central Corn Belt into the mid-south. Plenty of thunderstorm activity across that along the Mississippi River here between Missouri and Illinois down into Kentucky and Tennessee. We've also got clusters of thunderstorms off across the Atlantic associated with this upper-level trough that's brought recent shower and thunderstorm activity to the region across the Northeast. So bringing up the radar picture, certainly a complicated and disorganized look here. Again, this upper-level trough spinning away across the Pacific Northwest, bringing organized thunderstorms into the northern plains and the Canadian Prairie. We've got disorganized thunderstorm activity across parts of the Great Lakes here, Minnesota and northern Wisconsin into the UP of Michigan. We've got a stalled out frontal boundary across this region, bringing scattered storms or disorganized thunderstorm clusters to parts of Missouri and Illinois down to Kentucky and Tennessee. And then additionally, we've got scattered showers and a few rumbles of thunder across parts of the Northeast here. And this is going to be about it as far as precipitation goes across the region as we head into the first 10 days of July or so, as we head toward a hot and dry pattern across a big chunk of the Corn Belt and the Northeast. Temperatures this morning in the mid-60s across much of the Northeast. We've got a very warm and muggy pattern setting up across the midsection of the country. Temperatures already in the upper 70s from the Gulf Coast all the way into the Central Plains and parts of the Midwest. Total precipitation over the last 3 days, there have been some big winners and some big losers as you look across the lower 48. Again, some heavy thunderstorm clusters across parts of Minnesota and Wisconsin over the weekend. Some severe storms in that region, especially on Sunday night. We've also had some heavy rain across parts of the Mid-South, parts of the Central Corn Belt here, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, parts of Kentucky and Tennessee picking up locally heavy rainfall. And then the same has been true as you head off toward the north across the Northeast. Again, scattered thunderstorm activity for just about everyone, hit or miss, but some locally heavy rainfall here across parts of New Hampshire, Vermont, and parts of western Maine. As we take a look at the precipitation forecast from the high-resolution NAM model, again, as we head through the day today and into Wednesday, we'll see some widely scattered shower and maybe a few thunderstorm activity, bringing some, again, hit-or-miss precipitation to the region, but really quieting down as we head into the mid to late part of the week. Severe weather, not looking at much in the way of organized severe thunderstorms across the Northeast. We'll have a general risk for thunderstorms in the forecast here today and Wednesday. And then as we head into the day on Thursday, we'll have a marginal risk for a couple severe storms across maybe the northern portions of the region here, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and then parts of coastal Massachusetts. Maybe a strong storm or two across that region, producing some gusty winds and maybe some small hail. So you look at total precipitation over the next week, much of this falling over the next 3 days. Again, just generally talking about some scattered precipitation, low risk of maybe some folks picking up a quick inch here across parts of New Hampshire, Vermont, or Maine. Elsewhere, as you head off to the west, though, western portions of New York, much of the state of Pennsylvania down into Maryland, keeping things rather dry, if not completely dry, as we head through the next 7 days, potentially beyond. So as you look at the day 4 through 10 precipitation forecast, precipitation anomaly, again, this takes us really, excluding the next 3 days, into the first 10 days of July. And again, looking for a big dry pattern here across the southern plains into the central and eastern Corn Belt, and much of that extending into the western part of the Northeast here, at least, upstate and western New York, and then much of the state of Pennsylvania. That is a product of a pattern like this. Again, this big trough anchored across the Pacific Northwest. We've got troughing across parts of the northern Atlantic here, and that has forced a ridge axis here from the southern plains into the Great Lakes, and that is allowing a lot of heat to build under that ridge, and it's also going to be deflecting precipitation activity up and over the top of that as well. So until we get this ridge to begin to kind of break down or retrograde back to the west, it's going to be hot and dry for many of us across the Northeast, and that includes folks all the way back across the central Corn Belt as well. So it will be shared misery as we head through the first part of July. So let's take a look at the European model's precipitation forecast. Again, watching that disorganized hit-or-miss shower activity as we head through the day today and Wednesday. Again, that chance for maybe a strong storm or two across northern portions of the Northeast here as we head into the day on Thursday as the front moves through the region. bringing slightly cooler temperatures to the north just for a day or two. But then as we head into the weekend here, Saturday and Sunday, keeping things rather quiet. The only real organized chance for any shower and thunderstorm activity every couple of days is going to be across the north, where we can tap into some of this jet stream flow coming up and over the top of that ridge that's really going to be anchored again across the southern plains into the Great Lakes, keeping things drier as you head off toward the west. So between now and Thursday, the probability of picking up an inch of rainfall from the European ensemble, again, highest across portions of Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and also parts of Massachusetts, but elsewhere, upstate New York, much of Pennsylvania, Jersey, essentially the remainder of the northeast region here, all the way down into the eastern Corn Belt, keeping things less than an inch, if not completely dry, as we head through the next 3 days. And then as we head through, again, the first 10 days of July, this is days 4 through 10 from the European ensemble, again, keeping things dry from the central and eastern Corn Belt through the Great Lakes into the northeast, with only localized precipitation expected across the northeast. At the same time, that trough in the west, the ridge in the east, allowing that heat to build across the Midwest, across the Great Lakes, across eastern Canada, and into the northeast United States. Where are we going to find any relief? Well, the pattern right now, again, bunched up like this. What we're going to need to watch for is that ridge that becomes anchored across the Great Lakes. Does it begin to break down? Does it begin to retrograde back to the west? What that would do is set up a pattern a little bit more like this. Let's go ahead and bring it to the end of that loop, where we're starting to tap into some of that northwest flow. What that allows is eventually, we'll get fronts that'll come through and drop that humidity level. We'll also get beneficial thunderstorm activity riding along that jet stream flow into the northeast. So that's what we'll need to be watching for. There's no sure thing, slam dunk, that we're going to be headed back towards that as we get beyond July 10th, but that's what we'll be watching for, and that is what we're seeing loosely advertised by some of our models here as we get into the July 10th through 15th time frame. So your highs for the next few days, cooler today as you head up to the north and to the east, warmer off to the west. We'll start to see those warmer temperatures taking over as we head into the end of the week, with everyone above average as we head into Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Those highs in the 80s in the west, and then near 80 as you head toward coastal areas. Have a great day. Hope you're having a wonderful start to your week. We'll talk to you again about the Northeast on Friday morning.